Hello, this is Hi Bob Warbob, and let's play some Ultimate General Civil War. Hello, and welcome back. Today we are going to be starting out a new run of the USA campaign, and I have Something Compass here who happens to be a professional on USA campaigns.
Thanks for that. I've played 1,000 hours of the Union. I don't know about professional. Still learning.
Yeah, but we all are, and that's part of the fun of this game, is that there's always something that you can do to improve. You see me, like, I was reflexively going for the CSA there. I was like, I've played this so many times. I have several times where I look at it and I go, I'm in the wrong place. Things are going badly, and then I'm like, no, I'm blue. I'm not red.
That's a very, very common experience where you've been playing one side for a long time and you're looking at the map and it's just not registering that you're the other side now.
Yeah.
I had the same experience when I played the CSA, because I'd never played the CSA before. And I'd played 1,000 hours of just the Union, and the map just kept looking weird.
It does. Because you really get, in most games, you get so used to red being bad, and then in this game, red is you if you're CSA, and then I'm sure it's weirder the other way around, because, you know, blue, you're like, oh, blue, that's a normal color for playing a game. You're blue. Makes sense. Even if your faction is red, oftentimes the color on the minimap will be either green or blue, even no matter what.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I am pulling their skirmisher that is on the southern side of this mountain, pulling him with my commander. You see how I took a little bit of a shot there? But basically, I want him to come around and join the other two that are on top of the hill here, so that I can get them all three in one place at once.
Yeah.
Because trying to actually track down all three of the skirmishers at once is just impossible if you don't get them corralled pretty early on.
Yeah, and I would just mention here, there is the cheat of saving the game and reloading that'll make your reinforcements come in a little larger.
I'm about to do that. I'm about to do that. So what I did is I actually waited until right before they were going to spawn in and did it then, because I wanted to get to pick my perk.
Yeah.
So what I did is I basically saved it, and then I just reloaded until it gave me the perk I wanted. Which, I mean, I know it's a little gamey, but I basically just wanted to have the speed perk, because you gain 10% more stamina if you have the speed perk, because you have the extra speed from that in the UI mod.
Right.
So I think it's here pretty soon. I basically knew that at 10:40. See. Okay. Well, this might be the right one. I don't know. Oh, we're gonna have to...
Well, it's all good as long as I'm not fighting this stupid battle. I'm very happy to let you fight it any number of times you want to.
Yeah. So basically, from right... I'll have to do some cut and paste, I guess.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You decided you were definitely going to get these guys. Like, you were going to get them all.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely going to get all the skirmishers. Period. That was my number one goal here, was to get all of the skirmishers. Let's see if we can get it lined back up with where it is.
Yeah, I pretty much just sidestep them and go straight for the flag and get out of this phase altogether.
This is pretty close to where it is in the recording, and I'll cut out some of the extraneous bits there. Basically, you just have to make sure, like, sometimes one of them will just decide to go straight north, and it will just mess up your plans for doing this. But I just find it easier to just get the skirmishers done with. You can even get some captures on them, and they'll actually have 55s, I think. So you can actually get about 100 or 150 if you get all of them captured. 55s here on the first day, which doesn't mean all that much, but It's a good amount. So
yeah, that's actually a very good point. I think they do have 55s, and that's a nice thing to recover.
I think even selling the 99 that I have is about 1.5k, which means it's about 2.5k worth of guns if you had to buy them yourself. And that's just, I think, with one capture, and the other one's just getting killed. So if you don't wipe them out, you definitely miss out on a few guns here. You just cannot stop them from getting through here sometimes. Basically what you'd have to do is, there's at least one where I got it to work there, but other things didn't work as well. But if you like move the cav down around the south, you can like have them come up from that way, but then you can't stop them from going around north. So it kind of, sometimes you just have to kind of do whatever you can to get into a good position and just go with it.
Well, from the battle point of view, you do have 4 hours and 44 minutes to take the flag, which is a long time. But the bad news is, at a certain point, the people across the river are going to get massive reinforcements in phase 1.
Right, so I know. It's brutal.
If you can take the flag before the reinforcements come in, it's a pretty easy battle, even on Legendary. If you can't, and his reinforcements get on top of you, it's going to be really ugly.
Yeah, especially trying to cross the river with all the reinforcements there already. It gets real hairy, and I did not realize that. So there's a couple of playthroughs that I did that I was completely unaware of what the situation was going to be just a little bit down the road. And then I tried to cross the river, and I'm like, there wasn't this many guys. Where did all these guys come from? This should be like impossible at this point with this many guys on the field. Doesn't make any sense. And then one time I went ahead and did the river crossing thing, and I found them marching across the back, and I was like, oh, okay, they really do. They aren't just like back there and they kind of mosey their way on forward. They actually spawn on the edge of the map. So I did a couple tries where I tried to actually like spawn camp them, but you just don't have enough men. Even with everything else, 3 units just is not enough to actually set up a containment on the units that come in. They're just too big. So I actually end up crossing the river and then waiting till they spawn in, sitting in the city, not capturing the city until they spawn in, capture the city as soon as they spawn in, and then basically they just march to the front of the city, and I've already taken it, and it's ending at like about an hour and 30 minutes left. I figured that was enough time that it didn't hurt me too badly. Here I'm just trying to get their skirmishers dead, because you can see just how much damage these skirmishers can take from 500 or 600 men units. They just don't die.
Yeah.
Ever. Because they take no damage. They were completely surrounded. They should have surrendered. If this was war, they would have surrendered to that. They got completely outmaneuvered there. And whenever I have a situation like that and I'm like, this is what would happen, then I just take full advantage of all the cheats that I know to make that happen in the end. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the general feeling I have is, in the same situation, if it was the CSA pounding on Union units, it would be a much better outcome. But the feeling that you have playing the Union is I almost have to have 2-on-1 to do what one Confederate unit would do, if that makes sense. I've got to have 2 units of Union troops beating up on one Confederate unit to have the same effect that one Confederate unit would have on a Union unit. It's just, they're just weaker. They just don't perform as well. I don't know.
I think it's their efficiency.
Yeah.
Because their efficiency is just terribly low. It's like 10 or even lower sometimes. It's like, and I think that efficiency really makes a difference. And part of it's just like percentages. Like, you don't notice the percentage difference between dealing 5% damage and 6% damage like you do the difference between 5% and 2.5%, because 2.5% at that point is just no damage whatsoever. And that's what it feels like you're doing with these. It feels like you're doing no damage to begin with here. And even once I get into it a little bit, into the second and even first bull run, I'm still having problems with just units not able to route the enemy units in a timely manner. And that's the biggest problem. Is it's not so much that they can't do damage, it's that they can't route them fast enough.
Yeah.
Which just causes you to take a ton of damage if you can't route the enemy.
Yeah, the Confederate units right out of the box can go onto the battlefield and fight. The Union units are just terrible. They just, yeah, I said it in the playthrough that I'm doing right now. I said, you know, you get so used to the CSA units, they can run across the battlefield and plunge into melee and win. The Union units have to walk slowly across the battlefield, take a break, and then fight for a little while and take another break. I mean, it's just completely different.
And if you get them in melee, it doesn't even matter if you have them rested and the CSA troops have been running across the entire battlefield and you've had them routing like 4 times, you still lose in melee.
Yeah.
And you're like,
cannot go.
What? I got into melee with units that were all routing. There was like 5 units in a group that were all routing in the river at first bull run. And I, as a relatively well, I had 42s. They have muskets, you know, they have the really the rebores or whatever, so they do probably outclass me on the melee on the weapon slightly, but they're routing in a river completely shot to pieces, and my unit accidentally touches the side of it, and I see the number of men that I have just plummet, and I was like, I lost like 30 or 40 men in just seconds, and I'm like, I have them routing in a river. Really? I'm taking the damage there? Like, it's not... Come on, game.
No, it's a shock for anyone who comes from the CSA playthrough to play the Union Army. This is the shock. And, you know, I'm used to this. I'm used to, if you go into melee one-on-one with a CSA unit, you're going to get your head kicked in. Whereas when you're playing the CSA, oh, here's a guy, I'll just pop him and I'll win. You can never think that as the Union. You've got to always think, well, how many units can I pile up on this guy? How much fire can I bring on top of him? How much artillery support can I bring to bear? And yeah, because one-on-one I'm going to lose.
I am definitely starting to learn that. I haven't seen it as much as maybe I should yet, just because so that's how you do the river crossing cheat. You basically just take 2 units and string them out like that, and whenever he's in the middle of water, he'll just walk straight across.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done it that way. I've always walked him, you know, a little, you know, kind of like you did, like, you know, just kind of walk him slowly across.
Yeah, I found out this way, and that way is much easier to not have to sit there and fiddle with it and find the specific spots where you can cross. You can just cross anywhere you want.
Very nice upgrade.
Yeah. I was talking to Panda about it, and I was like, I just crossed the river at what was it? The sniper map, the tree map. Chickamauga.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like, you're going to be so disappointed in me. And he was like, what? And I'm like, I crossed the river. And he's like, yeah, so. And I was like, I found some places where I could like get in there and cross. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, so you know about crossing the river, but you don't know about like walking up to it and like finding a certain spot and getting across. He's like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, so I found a new way to break the game, but it's the exact same, but harder from the old way. So yeah, whenever he told me that you can just drag them out like that, I was like, wow, that is definitely much easier to do than my way of doing it there.
Yeah, you know he's gonna put a mod out at some point that's gonna take that away from him.
Oh, he's taking away all my fun. Every time I see his patch notes for the rebalance, I'm like, man, like, I showed everybody how to lock units on top of each other, and he took that away, like, immediately. Like, I was like, come on, man, like, that's my best trick. That is literally my best trick. Probably. I think that's my favorite trick. How about that?
That's a very good trick, yeah.
Because being able to actually put units, like, because sometimes you're just like, I just want them to be in that little bit better cover, and you can't quite fit 2 units side by side, and you're like, just overlap them a little bit. It's fine. Even if I can't use my skirmishers to, like, you know, overlap with them, I don't mind that part. It's just the like, just because I have 20 more men in my unit doesn't mean that they wouldn't be able to, you know, pack together a little bit and get some good cover anyway. Or just like, you know, I wouldn't mind if I could, like, minimize my front line, like, choose the width of my unit or whatever. But not being, I agree that it's a good thing probably for the game to not be able to choose your width, because it's a little bit too complicated for no real benefit, probably, for the game perspective. But as far as, like, ease of getting into cover, man, it just makes it a nightmare to try to actually get into cover. So yeah, here we are, crossing the river. You got to make sure and leave some skirmishers back by your cannons, because that unit in the city will come out after it sometimes, like, straight up run out there after it. So that's why one of my units of infantry was back there for quite a while, and then before he can leave there, skirmishers need to be over there to make sure. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the guy in the city will actually come out after you while you're hunting down their skirmishers, because it sees your back and sees units out there, and sometimes will actually get drawn out of the city towards you, and then you can surround and capture them. It's a little bit difficult sometimes, but it is possible for it to happen, so be on the lookout for that unit to leave the city, because it can catch you by surprise. It caught me by surprise a couple times where I took a couple volleys, like, straight in my back from, you know, a full-size unit while I was hunting down those skirmishers.
Yeah, that unit almost always comes out of the city after you, if you don't go after him.
Oh.
Yeah, even on Brigadier General, he comes out after you.
About half the time I have him go just cross back over without me ever fighting him. It's weird.
If he sees you, he'll come after you. If you hit him too hard, he'll retreat across the bridge and go to the victory location, and then you have to dig him out of the victory location. So it's better to keep him on this side of the river. I just absolutely love that you just snuck that unit across the river at that point we're not supposed to use.
Yeah.
Now he's behind the line. That's so cool.
It is. So what you can do is see how I, like, selected a unit, and then I select that skirmisher. Then I can just draw a line. Oh, it didn't quite work that time. There we go. And now he's crossing the river, and I can put my skirmisher away or whatever, or whatever other unit. You can use a unit from anywhere on the map with the unit that you're trying to cross the river with. You don't even have to use one that's, like, near it at all, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I would never have thought of that. But it makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, for some reason it's, like, not truly impassable. It's just kind of impassable. Doesn't really make sense why they do it that way, but it's whatever. And now this unit on this side of the river can just walk up behind these guys in these fortifications, sit in 100% cover in the buildings, and shoot them out of it. So yeah, that's a little broken, slightly. Here I mess up. You don't want to cross the river with skirmishers or cavalry. Is a bad idea, because they will most of the time do this thing where some of them decide that they want to walk all the way around instead of walking across the river. That's why infantry are so good for it, because they can break out their skirmishers and get back into line really easily. Here I think I actually get a flank shot with my cavalry on the other side of the river. Yeah, I do, which is hilarious. But of course, now we're going to start taking fire. So it's a little bit janky. I'm not going to lie. I did not do this as carefully as I could have. Basically, we're just trying to get them out of the city, though, and back towards this way. And I want to get this skirmisher unit, preferably all the way behind them so they won't cross the river, but I'm not sure if I do or not, to be honest. It's a little bit... It has been a couple weeks since I shot this, I think. Just been dilly-dallying around with my Washington. I need to finally get the rest of the episodes put out and see the cav unit routed him off.
Flank shots, you know, fortifications are terrible when they get hit by flanking fire.
Oh, they are the worst. It is so bad sometimes. You're like, there is no way that we should be taking this kind of flanking fire. I don't know. I think that it should be like half the morale damage that you normally take, but it's like full out just as much damage to morale as you would take if you were like straight up rear flanked. And it's like, that's not what that is. You're still in a fortification. You're still more secure than if you were just standing in a field and somebody snuck up behind you.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get used to the fact that, you know, these entrenched positions or prepared positions, which were great in the war, are pretty terrible.
They definitely are.
And I think Panda is trying to find the right balance, and, you know, he's going to make them better given time.
Right. I just don't know how easy it is to do the whole, how much flanking and all that stuff affects them, how easy that part is. See, here we go. We got him pretty well surrounded at this point. Got him. I don't remember if I get the capture on this guy or not. He might just run off and I never get him. Oh man, these guys are so annoying. Whenever they just... No, I get him. I remember now. I cheat a little bit here to get my unit around a little bit. I mean,
I see.
And I think I get him pinned just right here where he won't go anywhere. There you go. You can see the circle. You see him circle there for a second? Yeah.
Yeah, he's spazzing right there.
Yeah, and that's a good sign to tell you that you've got good pressure on all sides. So I should tell my other infantry unit to stop and not get any closer, because that'll push him more, and you don't want him pushed at all at that point. Here I accidentally take the flag, I think. Yeah, and then I have to fall back real quick to make sure that I don't actually keep it, because I don't want to keep it. I can't remember how I give it back. At this point, you definitely don't want to take it while you still have this much time left on the clock, and you've got a unit sitting here that you'll be able to farm some kills on and everything. And
yeah, I gotta tell you, I would just take it. I would just take it and get out of this phase and go to the next one. But I fought this battle probably, I don't know. It's possible I've fought this 50 times. Yeah, my goal would just be to get to the next phase and be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're in a really good position right now, obviously. So I can see why you'd want to milk this.
Yeah, I think I end up getting down to about an hour 30, an hour 15, somewhere around in there by the end. And basically, I either capture or kill both of these units. I can't remember what I do with them. But then I just sit around and run in circles for a bit with my other units, with my actual units, and because Zook isn't your unit. I should actually say that. Zook is not your unit. The 2 artillery and the 2 other infantry units are yours. The cav and the 2 skirmishers are not yours. You will not keep them going forward. So use them a little bit rougher than you would your own personal units. If you got to take losses, those are the ones that take them on.
Yeah, and in my opinion, what you want to do is get as many men as you possibly can that are yours, your carryover, into the camp phase.
Right.
So that's the goal.
That is definitely 100% the goal. And here I am, you know, with both of my... To be honest, I should tell Stockton to stop firing. There is no reason that he should be firing into that and gaining experience that my 2 infantry units are set up to gain right now. That was just a waste of ammunition and of valuable experience for my troops. as long as he keeps routing, there's no reason for Stockton to be the one that gains the experience.
Yeah, and taking fire from two sides, this guy should surrender, but
nope. I think he shatters instead.
But when he gets down to 300, the odds are he's going to shatter.
I think I try to capture him here. I can't remember if I get him or not, but I think I don't. I think he just shatters. See, I didn't set my skirmisher to not fire for some reason. I don't know why. I should have set him to not fire a while back, and I did not. And he did several casualties to him that maybe if he hadn't, maybe I would have gotten it. Flank shots from across the river. Great stuff. Nice. I love whenever you can get a good flank shot from across a river. And then I'm like, or he can just turn to face across the river and I can shoot him from this side. Either way works. Got to take out that artillery though. That artillery would be annoying to have on the battlefield going forward. So try to get around the side of them a little bit. Not so much to break them, but because I don't want to take the flag yet still. And if I go in directly at him, there's a chance I'll take the flag on accident, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so we got to get across the river. Come on. Draw the lines, get across. I want to leave somebody on this side of the river so that Root and Law don't try to go back across. So I think the two skirmisher units stay on this side of the river to try to keep them from doing that. And I did find a way to make your mounted infantry hold place if you want to. So if you change them over to being, dismounted, tell them to hold and then mount them up, they'll actually be mounted infantry that are held in place.
Oh.
It's kind of pointless because at that point, but they're ready to move at that point, I guess. But yet they're held in place so they won't be running around in circles, which can be nice whenever you're trying to get them to rest. That's really the point whenever you're really annoyed at them and you're like, I just want you to stand there and rest, and instead you're just walking in little circles, or you'll start moving at random and you're like, dude, just hold still. And actually making them dismount and holding them still means that you then lose the time that it takes to remount them, and then they kind of take a while to get moving again at that point.
Yeah, there is a pretty big period of time that if you're getting charged, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I still think you do double damage when your rifle cav is dismounted, although probably need to test that a bit more.
No, you're right. You're completely right. Whenever you're dismounted, you do way more damage. What I'm talking about is more like you just had your rifle cav get into melee, and you're like, okay, I need them to hold still, regain condition, and then I will take them somewhere to get in a fight. And then you tell them to hold in position, and then something gets kind of close that they can see, like a supply wagon or whatever, and they'll just start running away. And you're like, dude, I need you to hold and rest. And that's the situation. I mean, you never want to be in a firefight and be mounted if you can help it. Not for an extended period of time. You take double damage, you deal half damage. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Because I think the cav multiplier is a 1.5, and the skirmisher modifier is a 0.75 for taking damage.
Yeah, I try to keep my cav just hidden, out of sight, in cover, use them as spotters, and then when I want to hit something, run up and dismount. But yeah, you've identified something really important there, because if your cav becomes exhausted, it's kind of hard to get them to recover to be useful again, because they will do, like you said, really stupid things to burn condition.
And you're just
that's really good.
Of course, you can't do it with melee cav, which is sad, because I would love to be able to do that with melee cav, because I just want them to be able to hold in position sometimes, because I'm like, yeah, they slightly stand on top of each other. If you have 2 units of it, then they slightly stand on top of each other and it gets all messed up and weird. They start walking over each other and you're like, I need you to stay still. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
So here I am posting guards to look out for when the enemy spawns in. soon I think, no, I don't ever bring the skirmishers over there because they need to be over here to make sure that they don't cross this river. And it looks like I'm failing to keep them from crossing that river. I can't remember if I let them get across or not. I don't want them to cross, so I pull them back Zook, hoping that they will, and I almost took the flag. The flag turned really, really light there. It's almost taken, as it is.
So your units that are walking, are they running?
Yeah, they're running.
Walking? So you're not worried about zero condition in the next phase?
Nope, because in the next phase, you just sit in the town and defend. Right?
Yeah, but they're, with condition of 0, their damage is going to be reduced.
Nope. Only mobility is changed. Doesn't actually affect your damage. That's only in the rebalance.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, if I was in the rebalance, I would not be. Well, I could always tell them to rest for the 20 minutes after I capture the flag. You can think about it that way. And that's enough time to get back almost, it's probably about 25% per 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Approximately. It's a very approximate. But you can regain quite a bit. Stockton needs to get on the other side of him so he doesn't, come on, we want to route him across the river. And we keep just doing silly things instead. So I finally come to the realization at some point, I think, that my units of infantry should be all the way across the map from this so that they aren't in a position where I need to capture it fast. So there we go. Now we go back over to some place where we don't have to worry about the units coming in, getting in our way really fast. So there we go. We got him. Going in the right direction now. He's not going north. He's not going... He might go south. I can't remember. But he's at least going back towards the other side of the river. Because we definitely don't want him to route all the way up in the corner. Because that would not make any sense. Oh, man. It looks like he would have turned to that bridge if I just hadn't moved forward. Sometimes I just overreact, I think, and end up in situations that I would rather have been in slightly different ones, but it all works out in the end.
Actually, keeping him on this side and separate isn't bad. It's open area, and you can hit him from the front and the rear, which will keep him routed. It's all bonus for you. Yeah,
but only if you can keep him in a place, because keeping him in a place with only 2 skirmishers like that is really difficult. And then my infantry don't gain any experience here. None of my units, well, I guess the 2 artillery units are there to fire at him a little bit, but most of my units aren't going to gain any experience from it. So I actually end up knocking him back to this side of the river, and I think I kill him with Loomis.
Ah, okay.
I think. I'm not 100% on that. Like I said, it's been a few days since I recorded this. But this guy I definitely killed with Loomis, I think. Maybe I don't get him back on the other side of the river. I can't remember. What is my cav unit doing? He's just like running to nowhere. I don't know what I'm doing with him.
He looks dismounted on my screen.
He is dismounted, but I don't know where he's going. I don't know what I'm thinking about with him. Like, all I'm going to do is keep this guy from crossing the river. If I'm not careful, I'm going to route him into my artillery. Which is not what I want to do. Definitely not what I want to do. But see, I keep moving this guy anyway. What am I doing? That cav unit should not be there. There we go. Finally back off the cav unit a little bit.
It looks like you were trying to get fire on this guy from 180 degrees.
Yeah, I guess so.
You have Loomis to the north, and if you'd gotten the cav unit directly to the south, you would have had him taking fire from 2 opposite directions, increasing the chances of a surrender.
Now I remember what it is. Law dies on that vision point, on that little strip of island. That's where he dies. It's Root that dies over here next to the church. He'll get almost through Loomis before he dies. I think.
Man, if you take a notice, when these units get this tiny, they're doing like no damage.
Yeah.
And they're throwing cotton balls at the enemy. I mean, it's just they're doing nothing.
It's painful. And I mean, he is in okay cover there in the city, but still, like, it's still painful trying to get anything done. Yeah, I think he's gonna route through Loomis. I'm not 100% certain though. And of course, I'm about to start running off Stockton, and then he's gonna want to route across the river, which isn't great. I never know what I'm doing, evidently. I thought he died over there by the church somehow. Ooh, there we go. Pull back Loomis. Then he routes back towards the river, maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to guess what I'm thinking, and it's not working out as well as I thought it would. I guess the artillery on this side of the river will keep him from routing this way, hopefully, because, man, when they route through artillery, that's the worst.
Yeah, that is the worst.
You're like, I can't afford to take 5 casualties, much less the 50 that they take while you're routing through them.
Yeah, that's the thing that made me rage quit Ultimate General Gettysburg. I get tired of units routing through my lines into my artillery.
Oh, wow, and yeah.
I can still remember, I've had enough of this, and I rage quit. The only game I ever rage quit, and then just uninstalled it, and I was done.
Oh, wow, so, yeah.
That was... But now it looked like you were trying to do what we all do, which is use detached skirmishers and infantry to like corral these like cats. You know, if you can put enough units on one side, it'll make them go in the direction you want them to go.
And it definitely did not work, because even though across the river is technically open at this point, he still went all the way up there. It's like,
yeah.
Where are you going? I want to keep you away from the flag because I don't want to accidentally capture you and capture the flag at the same time. Like, it's the whole point of this whole thing was to not capture the flag until later. And that flag is really finicky. I mean, you saw earlier, it was going clear with me not anywhere near it.
Yeah, these flags have different areas of effect where sometimes it's pretty large and sometimes it's very tiny. And
sometimes
I really like the way you drug this out. I mean, this was very cool. You really milked a lot of XP out of this.
Yeah, I tend to try to milk them for all they're worth because you only get so much time, and it's especially apparent in the CSA campaign. Whenever I was replaying it just now, I was like, holy moly, all of these early battles for the CSA are terrible for milking XP, because whenever I went to Potomac Fort is like hard ends and it's a hard fought battle, so there's just no room for like, I'll just leave them to do whatever they want to do. No, like, you really have to like actually push on day 2 with your own personal units hard, or you're gonna get beat. I ran all the way to the forest and took them on at the forest, which worked out really well. Yeah, they're gonna ran him from all the way up at that other fortification, all the way through the city, all the way down here. Some reason he decided to route across this river, which makes no sense, and up here, and we'll kill him on the vision point, which is like, I had to chase you across like the entire map for no reason. It's just, these guys are crazy. And of course, no surrenders. Never surrender, never give up. Fight till the death.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's if I'm sure you'll watch my Union Legendary playthrough. These guys fight to the death.
Oh yeah.
On the Union campaign, when you fight the CSA units, they fight to the last man.
Last gasp.
Yeah, they're just, yeah, it's very, very different. And they stand and fight, and they recover in 2 seconds from any routing, and I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, on Legendary, the Union does it too, for the routing part. They don't do as well in melee, but as far as routing goes, like you say, like they come back in 3.5 milliseconds. And you're just like, what just happened? I just routed you not even 3 seconds ago, and you are, oh, this guy does die by the church. He's gonna route all the way over by the church, and that's where I kill him. That's where it is. Okay, I knew it was by the church. But it's not by Loomis, it's by Walton. Of course. Come on, Loomis, you gotta run. Yeah, okay, there we go. This might be my one capture for the battle. I don't remember. I don't capture very many in this battle because I don't focus on firing on day 2. I focus on running day 2 because day 2, sitting in those houses and firing out, you fire a little bit and then they run away, and then it takes them a while to come back, and then you do it again, and you're just like, you don't really gain that much experience because everybody's kind of low on morale. You saw they just spawned in.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep. Saw the message flash up.
Just slight flash there, and I was like, okay, well, guess it's time to capture the city. So I move Loomis's skirmishers towards it. I think that's the reason why I left them there, was so I could capture it whenever I needed to. And it just happens to work out that Walton skirmishers and Walton are right there together to fire at this guy. Maybe we do shatter him, I can't remember. Our artillery starts speaking up, but I mean, it's artillery from like across the map, and that's just not going to do anything.
And grind firearms.
Yeah, besides grind firearms, they're not gonna do any damage. 6-pounders or the 10 or do no damage at that range at all. So we're contested at 20 minutes. So we're coming up on the end here. At the end of this timer, then it'll be about 30 minutes for the video, and we can go to the next video. I went ahead and split it into 2 days just because it's the first one, so I figured we would talk a bit between us just about the game and stuff, so I didn't want to rush it too much. For the most part, I'll try to speed them up to, 200% for most of the minor battles, just because they get long.
Yeah, this is I think this is the school solution for the train station battle. This is excellent. My strategy is always go to the left bridge, just take the flag, go to phase 2, bring in your reinforcements, you win. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried.
Yeah.
As soon as the train comes in, all your artillery fires at it, sends it back, and then the battle's over. But this, I mean, I'm really enjoying the harvesting of condition, and yeah, this is excellent.
I think I lose.
And really, it doesn't matter at all if you kill all of the enemy or not. What matters is in phase 2, your priority of not killing all of the enemy, but of getting as much experience for your core units, and then the rest of it is just, it doesn't matter that much.
Right. And firing at those skirmishers does that kind of thing, because skirmishers can take so much damage like that, where they were out in the open, I kept getting to fire shots at them over and over again, which really, I mean, that's basically the best way you can grind up experience. And I'm never even going to fight any of these guys. I was just like, no, don't care. End. Because there's just too many of them. Like, I mean, I'm outnumbered again here. I was outnumbered before. I'm outnumbered again. And I'm just like, I know I could beat them, but how many casualties are my units going to take? And if I could sit in the city and have them come at me, I would do it all day long. But if I try to hold the city, they're just going to come at me from an angle that I have to take the flag to be able to defend. And then I'm going to take the city and it's going to be done in 20 minutes anyway. I might as well just end it with my guys running up there, gaining as much experience as they can before the battle ends. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and my thought when I look at this is I just want to get into camp with as many men as I can in my core army. And standing here and fighting these guys, is just going to mean that I'm going to get into camp, and my units are going to. I'm not going to have anybody. My units are going to be shot to pieces.
Yep. So I was worried here that they were going to charge and take the city, but Cutler stops. I think what basically happened is that Loomis and Walton switched position for the one that was most in front, and whenever that happens, they'll reset.
Yeah, they recalculate.
Well,